The club have announced a multi-year partnership with a fan token company called Socios. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correct, but that's the only thing I can see. Socios have made an announcement saying passion knows no boundaries from North London to South Korea. Come on, you Spurs worldwide. Spurs official join the Socios.com family. #passion for Spurs. And to help us explain what this partnership means for Tottenham and why there's some backlash and whether the backlash is justified, we have our resident crypto expert, Sai, in the building, who's going to help us talk through a lot of this stuff. So let's bring him on. Sai, thanks for joining us today. Hope you're well.
Yeah, good, guys. How are you doing? Nice to see you.
Thank you. Very, very well. Thank you. Before we get into a lot of it, I'm just going to read a bit of some of the statements, because Spurs have made a statement and the Supporters Trust have made a statement on the partnership, and it's caused a lot of backlash on social media regarding this announcement. So I'll start with the Tottenham statement. It says that it says Tottenham is launching a Spurs fan token in partnership with Socios.com to provide fans worldwide with worldwide access to a unique range of club-related activities, rewards, and experiences. They've got a few bullet points. They said members and season ticket holders over 18 years of age will be offered free non-transferable Spurs fan tokens from Wednesday, the 4th of October. Fan tokens will provide instant access to club-related polls, predictions, quizzes, competitions on Socios.com, through which points can be gained to unlock rewards and experiences. Through the partnership, Socios.com will also fund the Tottenham Hotspur Foundation's Reignite program, delivering adult employment opportunities and healthy lifestyle support within the club's local community. And they have a full statement detailing a lot of the benefits to this partnership as well, which you can go on the Spurs website to read. The Spurs Supporters Trust have also done a statement regarding this partnership, and I'll read this statement in full. It's not so long. Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust is deeply concerned by the club's multi-year partnership with Socios, as announced this afternoon. We understand the clubs need to develop its commercial partnerships, but this relationship will see engagement passed on to a third-party provider, enabling it to monetize fandom. Supporters Trust is yet again disappointed not to have been consulted on this move. Also have been forewarned about this afternoon's announcement. The club says one Hotspur members and season ticket holders will be provided with 1 and 5 free tokens respectively, and the arrangement then encourages fans to enter a cryptocurrency ecosystem of which many fans will have little knowledge, but will be encouraged to purchase further tokens to win things, in quotation marks. The club is trusted by fans, and we fear many will end up in a system they do not understand and that is designed to monetize their support and love for the club. It is important there should be no financial or technological barriers to fan engagement, yet this relationship potentially creates both. The Supporters Club expects the club to safeguard our supporters against financial losses, but this partnership seemingly does the opposite by exposing fans to potential losses. We shall also be asking the club to confirm that supporters' data will not be shared with any provider without further consultation or consent. So, Sai, first of all, I guess, what is really your reaction to the announcement by Spurs, and then I want to get your reaction to what the Supporters Trust statement.
Well, there's a multitude of pillars here, to be honest. It's quite ironic. Stella and I have spoken about this on numerous occasions in the past, actually, and did actually a really interesting deep dive on how fan tokenization will evolve over the next few years. I think we did that video a couple of years ago, just around orientations around that. I can see this from 2 or 3 different sides, really. I see totally why the club's doing it. I think it's pretty obvious, the commercial aspect, the revenue opportunity, we can delve into a bit more detail about in a second. I think the orientation around the negativity, I was quite amazed, really, to see the huge backlash. And whether people understand the crypto sphere or how indeed fan tokens work or not, may be another question. But I understand where the negativity perhaps comes from. And there's 2 pillars to that. One, as I think majority of Spurs fans, particularly over the last few years, predominantly, have been very agitated about the club's orientation around what they're actually doing. Less focus on the team and everything like this, more focused on commercial partnerships, etc., etc. That has fizzled out a bit, of course, over the last couple of months because of the success on the pitch. But then, of course, the other pillar is the area around cryptocurrency in general. And I'll just be clear here. So the Socios app is built on a blockchain or network called Chili's. So I'll give a bit more detail about that in a second. But all the fan tokens, and this isn't just Tottenham, guys. There's many clubs that have fan tokens and have done for a long time. A couple of years ago, in fact, when the Socios app originally began. So there's a huge commercial area here. I've seen some of the tiers already available on the social side of things, but that point about the negativity, I don't massively like the word scam when it comes to crypto. I come into different levels of cryptocurrency. For those that don't know, I have a diploma in blockchain cryptography, so I understand full well how blockchain works. But cryptocurrency has gone down some very strange avenues over the last 4 or 5 years, certainly since 2017. There's been a lot of talk about NFTs. There's been a lot of talk about scamming people or people losing money in exchanges, being liquidated, perhaps not understanding what each of these projects do. But there's a lot of projects out there that are massively beneficial for real world assets and how the economy will evolve over the next few years, how we will deal with money in the near future, central bank digital currencies in general, stable coins. I know these are perhaps terminologies that many people might not know of, but the reality is these things are coming. By 2025, the whole scale of everything that we do with AI, Internet of Things, and blockchain, i.e. crypto technology, will be fully enforced. And that's even backed more recently, guys, with the Royal Assent passing. And we're talking about law here, acts actually coming into law, particularly here in the UK, of crypto regulation. And it's no surprise to me that Tottenham perhaps have waited for these kind of regulations and things to come in, because otherwise there's a bit of a red tape scenario in the sense that people aren't quite orchestrated around what's actually going on in the crypto space. So I think the timing is very coincidental, but other countries are following, other regions, etc. as well. So I get why there's a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of news in the last year around certain crypto exchanges going essentially bust, where everyone's assets and money are stuck in these exchanges and they can't do anything about it. This is where a big topic about centralization versus decentralization, i.e. you're responsible for your own money or your own banking scenario, rather than the traditional trusted methods of commercial banking, Barclays, NatWest, etc. So I totally get where that's come from. The NFT aspect brought out a lot of scams, particularly with people throwing money at things that don't have any residual value in the real world, and have lost that money and therefore lost the trust, the confidence. And then that spews out to the media. It spews out to people in and outside the crypto space. So I get both sides. I get why Spurs are doing it. And there's a humongous opportunity in branding, and certainly the interaction. And my important word from the marketing perspective is the engagement opportunity is absolutely huge in this area. And it's why clubs are following suit. And it's not just soccer, football, it's NFL, it's esports, it's art, it's music. Everything is moving into this area. Looking at some articles this morning on a video that I was about to produce, ironically, when I started hearing about this, was me being a fan of Ibiza, how nightclubs are orientating around the NFT application, the technology of cryptocurrency and tokenization of nightclubs is really fascinating. So there's various pillars as to why people are angry and not angry, and perhaps a misunderstanding as well. In a sense, the fan token itself isn't actually technically a crypto asset, but it's a formulation of, in the back end of cryptography or cryptocurrency technology being utilized. And I think that's where there's a bit of a crossover and a bit of a misunderstanding. But I totally get why people are a bit hot-headed about it. And it's a great opportunity for people to get educated more into the crypto space, what's actually coming. There's some really good, massively great things coming, but equally some crazy things that people aren't quite sure of, which is maybe where the anger comes from. It's quite interesting.
So, but before I get into maybe the negative backlash, in your opinion, this partnership with Socios, do you see this as being a positive thing for Tottenham, the club, and in terms of how maybe they can build another revenue stream and what fans could get out of this potential partnership? Would you say that should it be something seen as an exciting opportunity, or do you have reservations about it?
It's totally 50-50 in my head, to be honest. As I said, I understand the aspiration of why they're doing it. On one of the videos we did with Stel a couple of years ago, I orientated around that fact of fan tokens being the opportunity for things like potential designs of a kit, or in the very distant future, potentially, this is a prediction, of the orientation of in-game application, i.e. a decision being made on a voting system utilizing fan tokens. But the aspect of brand orientation is very interesting. It's very powerful. As I said, with the likes of the merchandising aspect, voting for things like what music will be played before the game, and all these things, some people may not care at all. It's a new world we're entering. There's a lot of adaptations to be had. I suppose on the other side, I totally understand where people have the concerns. I think my main concern is the orientation, and I don't like the mainstream media's application of this in terms of crypto being gambling in some instances. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's mostly trade orientated, stock orientated, if you like, for a better matchup narrative wise. But it's that principle of, and this is where the trusts mechanism of the narrative comes in, and kind of very, very good argument to make is that the non-inclusion of people potentially who may be struggling for money or want to be involved in something like this. And hang on a minute, why are we having to go down a fan token route to allow this kind of mechanism of engagement to occur? But ultimately, I know Tottenham is a business at the end of the day. It's about building revenue streams. Daniel Levy goes on about it all the time. It's in their interest to find as many revenue streams as possible, and this is totally one of them. But I do have the concern in the sense of this whole orientation. And again, I don't like the word gambling aspect of it, but if you know anyone that plays FIFA or Ultimate Team, how excessive it can potentially be to try and obtain as many tokens as possible or points as possible, and you pay loads of money into it to get the best teams possible, but you don't actually own anything because, well, NFT application actually allows you to own digital assets in this way. Of course, that's a great evolution of crypto. But the point being is that, potentially throwing money or buying the Chili's token to then utilizing the Socios app to get the fan tokens and then be available to be included within all of these tiered structures that they're putting in place. I've seen loads of different options about, meeting the kit guys or backstage VIP access of the stadium and all this kind of stuff. I totally get it, why they're doing it, but it's that orientation of, well, hang on a minute, as fans, and this is where the coordination of conversation comes in of how will we treated as fans now? We're customers. I've said this on so many different levels that we, unfortunately, the day of fans has kind of disappeared. We're customers now. And loyalty is potentially tested, and loyalty is a big part of this tiered structure as well. So it's that question mark around, why do people have to buy fan tokens or get fan tokens to do this? And also, and this is probably why the over 18 spectrum comes in, is because ultimately you have to buy the Chili's token to get these fan tokens, and the Chili's token is a fluctuating price based on supply and demand, like any other stock market or crypto asset that's on any exchange. So there is an argument that eventually, if the Chili's token was to excel in price to beyond unimaginable prices, where actually a token isn't 5 or 10 cents anymore, it's $5 a token, it becomes very questionable about how that tiered structure actually works in the future. But then does that also mean that only the richer people can make these decisions, which we've already obviously seen in the world of football and sport these days, how much power companies and corporations have above the fans, in terms of our decision opportunities or the decision of inclusion or how many tickets we get. All these things have been slowly being taken away and disappearing as it is. So that's where I think the trust has come in. And again, a misunderstanding as to what all of this actually is, the orientation of how it works with other clubs, how it works. Really, I think it's possibly been quite poorly announced in the sense that no one's understanding what it is. I know what it is because I'm in the space for many, many years, and I work with cryptocurrency projects. I work with the technologies. I work with the platforms, for even to the government levels. But for those that don't understand, it's a very strange thing of how they've announced it. And that's where I think the backlash has mainly come in. But it reads back to the original point that I made, and I know Estelle would make the similar point of this whole interaction of where are we sitting as fans, and it's not just Tottenham. I'm talking about the whole world as fans in general. Where these clubs are going, it's becoming, you know, business upon business upon business, and more away from this, and more about how much money can we make off these people, and that's where I think that big backlash has come.
Can I ask, Si, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yes, mate. Good to see you, bro.
You too. We've had many a conversation about crypto, NFTs, the blockchain world. I've got two questions, but I'm going to come at you as a fan. Okay, so someone who doesn't know anything about this, people that are just seeing something on Twitter and saying, "Oh, I don't like that," retweet, share, and my first question is the argument that this is a scam or people can lose money and they're just chucking money away and you're almost enticing people to throw money away. What is the difference to promoting gambling partners? You know, put money down on a bet of a result or who's going to be the first scorer. So that would be my first argument. Question. Yeah. And the second question I've got is, I think one of the biggest concerns around crypto, or when the word crypto is mentioned, is the fact that it's not regulated. There's no legislation in place. Now, you, at the start of your explanation, touched upon legislation coming through. Socios, the company, is that regulated, although the industry that they operate in, crypto, isn't regulated? Can you bring some clarity on that?
It's quite a difficult one to answer, because ultimately, depending on where the companies are based and where they're orientating to, in this case, pretty much globally. I mean, Socios even works with international clubs at this moment, like the Argentinian fan token, for example. And also,
just so you know, they've got Real Madrid, Barcelona, Napoli, Galatasaray, Arsenal, just to mention Atletico Madrid, just to mention a few clubs they're already partnered up with.
Yeah, absolutely huge. And that's where the argument comes in about global frameworks of regulation and legislation. And this has been an ongoing topic for many, many years. As I said earlier, the UK has taken a step forward. I think I made some wild predictions a couple of years ago that Sunak would be Prime Minister. And one of the main reasons is because he's heavily involved in an innovation hub in London and blockchain technology. And I knew that an infrastructure would come into play at some point. That has gone past roll of scent. I think it was in July or August, and it came live in September this month, along with a load of other crazy things like the electronic trade bills and stuff like this. So it's a grey area at the moment, but in the sense that, particularly here in the UK, when we talk about the FCA, so the Financial Regulatory Authority, in terms of advertising regulations, is absolutely huge topic point right now. And lots is going on in that area. But the actual regulation of the usage of blockchain and crypto is coming to the forefront now. And the UK is arguably, in media terms, leading the way worldwide with that. But most European legislation now is coming to that fruition as well, along with the new EU data acts that are going through as well in the next few months. So it's all orientating around that. So when people have a concern about regulation, which is probably when we had the big bull run in the market. So for those that don't know, is when obviously the big, huge price influx, because mass audience kicks in, hysteria and all these things come into play, and the prices go up, the stock goes up, etc. Regulation was a big point. Regulation comes out in the mainstream news, and then the market tanks, and then we're back into the usual cycles. So this notion will start slowing down, or hopefully stopping to that extent, to protect investors' side of things. But from what I would say to people that have that concern about regulation, absolutely. At the end of the day, when you are putting your money into something, whether it's in gambling or stocks, you have to manage your own risk. And they always say only invest in what you can afford to lose. And this is not financial advice as such, but that's the terminologies that are used in the crypto space specifically. And that orientation is very clear. But these next few years are so imperative with the frameworks that are going on around the world for regulation. It makes it more easier for companies in the crypto sphere to make sure that they adhere to these regulations. Otherwise, they just won't be able to exist in society, and they won't just be able to exist in the banking or the financial systems either. So it's very imperative that they do this. And most already, or particularly the bigger projects, technologies, I don't know if Socios off the top of my head is completely, it is regulated to the extent of within its countries and what it operates to do. but will it adhere to these new legislation and regulations depending on the countries? They have to. There's no way around it. And because of how big they are, I would have no doubt in my mind that they're already way ahead with all of that side of things. I know a couple of people that work at Socios. I'm looking to try and do a couple of interviews with these guys in the coming weeks. But yes, that's again where one of the big concerns come from, and that scam word particularly. But the governments are doing a giant job right now to protect that. And it goes way beyond crypto assets now, guys. It's like stable coins, central bank digital currencies that we'll all be using in the next 2 years, whether you like it or not, is coming. And these evolutions of crypto, blockchain technology, as I said earlier, AI, IoT, we can't stop any of this. And the clubs in general, because of the monetary value, the revenue opportunities here are absolutely gigantic. And ultimately bringing potentially masses of new fans globally. That's a big word here, globally, global engagement, and the easiest possible fashion for the use of an app and a fan token, the loyalty programs, all the different exclusive things that they can do through it. So this is where it's an exciting time. It's also partially an unknown time, because ultimately, and this statistic's mental, that still over, I think it's over 95% of the world's population don't even know what crypto assets or cryptocurrency is. And that's how early everything is. And that's why it's perhaps still scary for people. But I understand that many people associate the word scam or gambling because that's what the mainstream media puts out there. But if you actually look into finer detail about some of these projects that are doing some really interesting things, it goes a bit out the window in your mind. But I totally get where people's frustrations come. And as a fan, as you said, Stel, I'm in two minds about it. You know how I feel strongly about the club that I support. And I'm always protecting people around me, not just in the financial perspective, but just like generally in life. And that's why I did my channel for education purposes, not to shill coins and things like this, to educate people about what's coming and what to look out for, etc. But the point being with the clubs is, again, potentially dismantling that ethos of what a fan actually is. And I say it flippantly when I'm on you guys, Sim and Ben, when I'm on your channel, and I flippantly saying that the days of football clubs as football clubs is gone. I'm being genuinely serious. It's a full-on business outlet at the end of the day. And the word fans, irrespective of the fan tokens and things coming, fans don't necessarily exist anymore. Clubs almost don't need us as fans. They just need customers coming in. Hence why we have all these people coming in to buy things in the shops, loads of money, blah, blah, blah. Do we see the on-field expectations rising? Yes, of course we have in the last couple of months, but we're still skeptical on all these things because of all the many, many years. And I think these fan orientation tokens, potentially poor timing, but in the business engagement perspective, there's never a bad time. It's all about revenue streams for them. That's what we need to understand, is have that open-mindedness that we know why they're doing it. I may not agree with it. You're not going to stop it. It's not going to go anywhere because everyone's doing it. Do you honestly think Daniel Levy's going to go, hang on a minute, all these other clubs are making loads of money out of this? Oh, we shouldn't do it because the fans are annoyed. When has that ever stopped him? So that's just where the realism comes in. And that's where you start identifying, like, what's the pros and cons of this. If you don't want to be involved, fine. But then the concern for me is, are people going to miss out on things that ultimately, as a fan, you should have access to anyway, or the opportunity to, because we already spend a crap load of money on season tickets and memberships. We get a crappy birthday card that's photocopied signatures and stuff once a year. We don't even get our badges and scarves anymore. But now we're being forced to be chucked with this on top of it. And that's totally where, as a fan, and I get the negativity towards it. That's where I totally understand it.
And there's been a Twitter thread by a person called Martin Calladine at Ugly Game, who's done a Twitter thread basically showing how fan tokens at other clubs have performed over the last few years or so. And the likes of Arsenal, Everton, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Barcelona, Aston Villa. There's a lot of clubs who have gone down this route. But what he's shown is that pretty much in 100% of circumstances, the coins have started at a certain price, around £2, £3 or £4 per coin, and they've all dropped massively. And now I don't think any coin at the moment is maybe above the value that it's been bought at. And has that got to be a massive
Sim,
concern?
Do you know what? That's a little bit disingenuous as well, because sorry, Si, I'll tell you why. I'm just talking now as someone that invests a little bit in this. The timing of those graphs that I'm looking at has also coincided with a global economic downturn. So those coins naturally going to go down in price because we're in a bear market.
So you're saying it's not a fan token problem; it's a crypto problem.
It's a global economy problem.
Global economy problem.
Obviously, give us a more in-depth response, but I think in general, it's a lot of things are down. Stocks, mortgage prices,
and you wouldn't say stocks are a scam. It's just the nature of the economy.
Everything's gone up in price, and general assets have gone down in price.
Is that something you agree with, or do you think the fact that all these fan tokens at the moment, there are a lot of fans around the country investing in maybe a lot of the, like apparently Crystal Palace sold 64,000 tokens, and there's been protests in their ground about these fan tokens.
Timing. It's all about timing, and exactly as Stel said. I mean, when Chili's has been around. This, again, the network that powers the Socios app. When they began, I think it was around 2019 or so. And like with any project launch, even in stock markets, prices go way up because the demand's there, fluctuation, etc. It's no different to the stock market at all, whether you're buying commodities or whatever asset it is. And then ultimately over time, and this is where crypto is very early and perhaps immature in the mindset of people buying these crypto assets, maybe not understanding the utility of them and holding them potentially for a longer term, understanding where's the projection of this. They sit there and look at price points as like, oh, it's not going up anymore, I'm going to sell. And obviously then it creates a pattern. And if you've got big institutional levels of money coming, holding these tokens, or perhaps big wallet holders. So that instance is if Stel holds Chili's like I do, we all each have our own wallets. But if people are selling those assets and they have big quantities of them, that obviously brings the price down. So that person that's made that chart has perhaps not orientated the narrative around like, okay, what actually makes a price fluctuate up and down, first of all. But secondly, that aspect of, what does that mean for us? And that's my point earlier, is the price mechanism of token becomes very interesting because you have to have those Chili's tokens to get the fan tokens, and that Chili's token can fluctuate in significant price. And if every single club comes into this, and bear in mind how many fans each of these clubs have got, and ultimately, and I know this for a fact because I've been like researching for a long time, back in December, the UK government and the Bank of England have come together to try and orientate digital wallet that we will all have to use for central bank digital currencies or digital currency in general. I don't know whether it's going to be a government-led project or something third party, but there's that perspective of everyone's going to have digital wallets, everyone's going to have digital identities. Artificial intelligence is now pulling into this as well, whether it be facial recognition in stadiums, tickets through our NFT applications or through our digital wallets, or even indeed biometric. This is where it's going, by the way, guys. Like smartphones and things are just stepping stones. You will just come to the stadium, it will see your face, all your identification, your numbers, your NFTs, everything you're buying with fan tokens, all this, that, and the other is just done here with your eyes and stuff. A couple of years down the line, that's where it's coming to. This is where it gets really interesting from that fan token perspective, how it's utilized. The tokenomics aspect is very interesting. I've talked about the tokens economy. I've been going on about this for a long time, only because really I've been working in the play to earn sphere for a number of years. And this is the orientation of playing games and earning tokens whilst you're playing them, and then ultimately being able to convert those into a currency of your choice, a stable coin or another currency that you can then go and buy other stuff. Play to earn advances to view to earn. You can have access to things like the Veracity esports platform, and you can watch people play games and earn tokens from them. And you sit there and you go, oh, this is really interesting. And that's what I was talking to Stel about a couple of years ago, is when you're eventually, very soon, you'll watch football on the TV and you'll see a goal, and then a QR code will come up. And the first 100 people that scan it will get a NFT app version, digital, fully authorized, fully transparent, authorized through blockchain technology of you holding that goal as an asset in your portfolio. All of these things coming into play as well. So that's view to earn, play to earn, eat to earn, view to earn, learn to earn, These are all
There's a lot of
mechanisms
earnings.
in the new tokens economy.
Guys, do you know what I think? Just listening to the conversation, which is a good conversation, it's a needed one. Do you know what I see as the problem with what's happened today with this announcement from Spurs? When you were going through those graphs, Simeon, there's no understanding of the fluctuation. For most people listening to Simon, no disrespect to Simon, he knows what he's on about. It's going to go right over their head. They're going to think, what is this guy on about? The issue we've got here is they've launched this. There is so little education or understanding, it scares people.
Fear of the unknown.
Spurs have played this wrong. There should have been a stepping stone of, educational learning towards what this is actually about and what it actually means for us as fans. Whereas when you look at gambling, it's straightforward. Give me £5. There's your odds. That's what happens if you win. Straightforward. I get it. With crypto and NFTs and where it's all going and this partnership with Socio, for the average fan, right, this is scaring me. Just be defensive. I'm against it. Scam, panic. And I feel just listening to this chat, I think this is what's happened.
So education is massively missing still. In the whole spectrum of crypto, education is massively missing from the I'm talking about educational level in schools, colleges, etc. And I know these courses are coming into play. And if you're a developer and a coder, you understand, C++, etc., all the things that go on in development of blockchain. Outside of this, you only really come across it by luck or through an investment, ideally, most of the time. And I think when you're now bringing it into a mass adoptive audience, and this is, I go to a lot of government level events, Digital Pound Foundation and things for the UK's Digital Pound coming. And a big thing that was mentioned in the audience, and certainly something I push a lot of, and I say, it's all very well, guys, you're talking about this, but you're not educating anyone. How are you expecting, millions upon millions of people to understand this and get involved in it without the education? But now that's finance, mate. I'm more interested in actually, hang on a minute. You're now talking to millions of Spurs fans, arguably worldwide. And again, that's why Tottenham are doing it. But you're now potentially splitting people even more so than you've already been doing for the last potential 20 years of that disorientation to people. Like, oh, I don't understand this. I'm going to lose out. A fear of missing and potentially do something that you don't understand. And then when you are starting to put your money into exchanges or cryptocurrencies and this, that, and with fluctuating prices. So bear in mind, the club will make a lot of money out of this as well. They could potentially, I don't know if this is how they'll do it or not, but they could potentially get all these fan tokens coming in and then they can go to Chili's, sell them for the fiat price and make the money off it, depending on the price fluctuate. That's potentially how it could happen. But it works on reversal of the people, us as fans, who then have got to now accommodate, oh, I have to buy more chilies.
Oh, is he gone?
He's crashed. Sim, do you know what Spurs should have done? I'm just thinking on my toes here. You know when they had the fans forum and they invited fans in to speak to Daniel and ask questions, would it not have been a better idea to say, big announcement, Spurs fans, we're teaming up with Socios. This is why. We're going to have a fan forum where you can ask questions about this. Myself, the board of directors, and all the financial experts, they're going to be here from the crypto world to answer your questions, just so you can understand a bit more about it. Do you not think maybe that might have been a better approach with something that clearly is the beginning of something very big in terms of what Spurs are going to be doing going forward in a crypto or a digital financial world?
Yeah, I think to just so if fans have questions, you can directly answer them there and then, and you can fully explain what the whole process is and what is really going on. That would have been a brilliant time to maybe take that announcement when you got direct like right now it seems as though they're making this announcement. Obviously it's on social media. It's kind of like, this is happening, you can't do anything about it. This is what is going forward, and a lot of people don't understand what the announcement is or what really this partnership means for Tottenham or for them. And maybe that kind of forum and that kind of place to announce it probably would have been in terms of explaining perfectly to everyone and fans in the room who have direct questions. That would have been a really good place. But look, so I don't want this to go on for too much longer, but if you had one more, if you had like a couple of sentences kind of to fans who are saying, or who have concerns about this, or saying, they don't like that Tottenham have made this announcement or agree with this partnership, what would maybe your closing kind of statement be to either alleviate their fears or justify their fears? Like, what would your last thing to say on it would be?
I think it's mainly educating yourselves to understand what this is, and if you are getting involved, the risks and potential concerns around that. I think it's very difficult to sort of conclude a specific answer. I'm open book, I'm open mind. I understand, both sides of the reasonings as to why there's negativity and why this is a good thing from the commercial aspect. But at the end of the day, this isn't going to stop. Like, they won't. I'd be amazed if they pull out of this, because every other club is making good money, revenue out of this. Engagement is increasing more than ever before. So, at the end of the day, it's then about adapting to it. But, at the end of the day, I do think the club should have done a better job. They perhaps should have consulted the people like at the trust to really say, we're potentially doing this, sign an NDA agreement so we're not communicating to the public about it. But get some kind of feel, at least from some sort of survey. What do you think about us launching a fan token? Because these fan tokens are for fans, but haven't been orchestrated with fans to decide whether we actually want this or not. And that's where I talk about that whole aspect of, we're not fans anymore, we're customers. So that is it at the end of the day, guys. Like, we have to adapt. But like I say with my channel, it's down to you to educate yourselves about it at the end of the day. Because no one else is going to educate us. We don't have it in our education systems or anything like this. You either find it, as I said earlier, through work patterns or through investing and understanding what you're investing in. But of course, there's risk aspects to it that have not been fully identified or explained to people. So before people jump in, have a better understanding of how blockchain works, how crypto works, but then understand the orientation around what is actually a fan token, how do we benefit, or is it completely against what I want to do? And then you might have a decision in the future, I'm not going to be a Spurs fan anymore, but you're not going to escape it, because it's going to every football club in the world pretty much over the next coming years. So it's a really difficult one to answer, Sim, in all honesty. All I would say is just keep the open mind, keep yourself educated on top form, with what's actually going on here. But also don't be dismissive of it, because I think there's because of the uncertainty and the negativity, that's where these things can perhaps get even more disorientated. I think the fairer option is for people to have a 50-50 mindset on it and educate themselves, and then make your conclusion about it, not follow what everyone's putting in threads on Twitter and all these other social platforms. You have to understand the system, the frameworks behind it, understand the regulations coming. How am I being protected as a fan? How am I being protected as a holder of a potential crypto asset? These are the things you need to really focus on, in my opinion.
All right. So I really appreciate your time today, and we'll speak to you very, very soon.
Love you guys. See you soon.
Nice one, Si. See you soon. Come on. I think that's important conversation to have when this announcement has been made and there's a lot of backlash. So even though it may have taken a long time to get through a lot of the nitty gritty of the specifics of this announcement, or maybe the crypto space, which obviously a lot of people can probably talk for a long time about these kind of industries. When people are making a lot of statements, there's a lot of social media backlash about this certain announcement. I think it's important everyone has all the information provided when they do make these decisions, whether to be for or against, or whether to buy tokens or not buy tokens, and all these kind of things. So I appreciate Si's time for going through all this. Stel, thank you for joining me in today's update. Appreciate all your time,
mate. It's been a pleasure. I think the big question really is, how many chili coins are you going to buy?
Oh, well, I'm going to get all the chili coins. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. Don't put me on record for that, but we'll have to wait and see. But go check out more of Stel on Tottenham Away. The link will be in the title and the description as well, so go check him out. Thank you for joining me on today's Tottenham update. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.